Bloodshot is the central character of the Valiant comic universe. And he is a character who was formerly a soldier that is enhanced through technology and manipulated through, without giving away the story, to be a corporate assassin. First of all, what makes Bloodshot a unique superhero is the question of whether or not he is a superhero. That's what's kind of really compelling here, because he's not waking up planning to save the world. His agenda isn't to rescue the planet. He really, when you get into the story, you realize he's trying to stop the insanity that's being induced upon him. He's fighting for clarity. That's a unique kind of protagonist. That's what makes this so unique. It's not your traditional superhero movie, and I think that was the intent going into, I know that was the intent going into launching the Valiant cinematic universe. I can tell you this, I'm excited to see this. The best way to say this, to answer that question is, I can't wait for the premiere. I can't wait to see this movie, especially after talking to all the people, all the countless press that have seen the movie before me. I'm ecstatic to see the movie.
He's a genius. He clearly is a genius. You know, he's somebody with high intelligence and an amazing sense of innovation and sort of technological prowess, and you know, is obviously driven from an early age after a sort of a medical condition that meant he lost a limb. But he wasn't going to accept that, and he developed for himself a version of a working arm, and you know, clearly that has been a driving force in his life, where I think for a lot of us, we don't tend to accept things about ourselves, and we want to improve ourselves if we can. And I think for Dr. Emil Harding, it's just very extreme. It's extreme, you know, to the point where we then find him in this film, in Bloodshot, where he's brought a man back to life. And not only has he brought him back to life, but he's developed a technology that turns this man now into a superhuman. So I think, you know, I think that just as a starting point would be very appealing to people. The idea that, you know, again, we don't have to accept who we are. We can actually be a more superhuman version of ourselves. And, you know, that's kind of exciting and it's scary all at the same time. Because of the technology in Bloodshot, in Ray Garrison's body, which is all kind of linked up, Bluetoothed up to his computer system. I'm sure the terminology is more advanced than just Bluetooth, but he's really able to drive him as such. You know, to control him. He can speak to him at any point. He can hear him, and he has absolute sort of his control over this man at his fingertips. So it's a real godlike kind of position that he's got himself in with Bloodshot. When you look at this story, and of course once you get further into the film and you realise what's happening, the idea that a story is being created and implanted into Bloodshot's mind as a memory, to therefore act as a driver for Bloodshot to behave in a particular way, that is quite profound and it's brilliant. That's what it was about the script that I really liked and really wanted to get on, why I wanted to get on board. But it's really scary as well. It's absolute manipulation. You know, it isn't just about taking advantage of someone's vulnerability at a point and trying to sort of, in a conversation, trying to sort of manipulate them to go and do this. It really is truly going, we're going to take your memory out of your head, because you died and we've brought you back to life and we can, and we're going to put this memory in your head and we're going to weaponize you. We're going to get you to do what we want you to do because we can. To really do this on a very personal, specific level, where the driver is love, using love to weaponize somebody, using emotion to really weaponize somebody, and so that then Harding can actually either, get rid of some characters that are there to upend his program, or that have information that needs to be not. What's the word? That he wants to stop getting out. It means that he's able to use Bloodshot to sort of achieve these specific, targeted offences. He just sort of seems like a fairly affable, nerdy, kind of sciencey kind of guy, and for me, it was about finding the balance between this sort of ethical drive to kind of do good, amazing work, but also, sitting on the fence where he can tip over into sort of immoral and unquestionable, or questionable behaviour kind of easily. So, I didn't want to play a character who was sort of mustache twirling and seemingly nasty or evil, but perhaps more somebody where things have just gotten kind of bigger and bigger and more out of hand, and he's trying to maintain control, but also his ego's in the way as well. Well, he needs a team of people to work with him. He needs, he can't just do this on his own. And obviously Tibbs, Dalton and Ace's character, KT, have all suffered injuries during military combat. And he has brought them in and rescued them, essentially, has repaired them and revived them. And so there's a loyalty there as well. And he also has control over them. So it's a very fine line between loyalty and control, I guess, which probably occurs in most, loyal situations. And obviously, we see, eyes have been replaced, legs have been replaced, breathing apparatus has been replaced. So these characters are now functioning on a level that they couldn't before. They're lucky to be alive, and they owe a lot to him. And maybe he's taking advantage of that.
So she is this, obviously, the co-league of Harding when you meet her, and you don't really know where she's going or what her agenda is or what her real job is involved within RST. And then within this, as the movie goes by, you start really finding out who she is and what her intentions are. And what I really loved about this character was that she was fully layered. She didn't feel like just one tone badass superhero girl. It was just this real girl who had issues and traumas and emotions, and there's no revenge story behind her. She just really wants to do what's right. And so it was very inspirational to me, and I also wanted to pay back my respect for the female soldiers that have represented us in really hard moments, and I wanted to do it right. So I was very proud and excited to bring them to life.
He's this very good ex-Navy SEAL. I think he was probably top of his class, and he's gone through this horrific trauma, and he's lost his legs. But through the RSD, he's been enhanced, and he has a second chance. But yeah, he feels angry at a lot of things. He's obviously upset that this has happened to him. He blames probably a lot of people. He blames the military. He blames Harding for not giving him this opportunity, and blames Ray for sort of taking away everything that he wants, including the technology and probably KT as well. And yeah, he's got some issues, but he's such a fun character to play, and I really enjoyed it because he's quite different to the characters I've played before.
He's the smartest guy in the room. I think he, just like today, but I think he's initially when you see this guy, he's a keep his head down kind of person. You know, he's a schemer at heart. Which leads him to doing some of the dirty work that he does with his superpower. But, you know, maybe there's a master scheme at play here for him. And I think, you know, you watch the film, you know, you'll see some of those things play out. I think him spending a lot of time alone has formed a lot of his extroverted actions that you would see. Obviously people who get human interaction know how to behave, and with this guy in particular, he doesn't.
They've all got their certain roles to play, and they've been playing them successfully for some time now. We see that he's gone on multiple missions, and actually, you know, he's now down to his last few targets. But you can also see the chinks in their armor. They're human beings. They're getting bored. They're getting frustrated and almost disillusioned by the mission at hand. I mean, you see in KT that she's certainly questioning why they're doing this. And for my character, I think Jimmy, you know, absolutely, he's sick of it. He's bored, and he knows, he thinks he could do a better job. So it's these little details that when we were shooting it, it was kind of fun to do, because we'd reshoot the same scene over a couple of times, and you could mix it up slightly, and you start to see when the characters make mistakes.
Because his memories are constantly being manipulated, if he does go off on his own, I could do stuff to him. You know, he has to become human. He does have to have that human side to kind of tap into his own self more. That technology being tapped into this web or whatever interface it's tapped into can still be manipulated. I do think that that is the cool part about the cinematic experience of Bloodshot. You know, what or who can get control of him. I think the soul of him, though, you know, there is there would be a joy in him going off on his own, because he go and do the right thing, and he, you know, be a lover and a fun person and all that stuff. But no, you got to tap into that brain and make him diabolical again. You know, that's what I would do. I would use that power for 100% evil.
Ray Garrison is this military guy that we kind of meet as we start in this movie, and sort of is brought back to life by Harding with this nanotechnology to get a second chance at life. And he's kind of questioning where he comes from and who he is, and I think that sort of unravels to what the story goes towards. And I think that this was just such an incredible role for Vin Diesel as well, because I feel like he had never had the opportunity to be vulnerable to the level and the extent that he is in this film. And it allows him to give other people an insightful version of who he can be as well as an actor. And it did such a service to Bloodshot as well, because it is a real human trying to find his meaning in life now that he's had a second chance. And I think it comes with a lot of things. It comes with rage and excitement and fear and emotions and doubts, and that's why I feel people will really relate to Bloodshot and really connect to him. He's not just a Terminator. He's not just this superpower or Superman. He is this guy who has all these conflicts and is trying to learn as he goes, but also trying to keep his humanity. And that's what made such special splash to us to be part of Bloodshot.
Watching this movie, it's so epic visually. I think Dave Wilson has done an incredible job. He, from day one, you know, knew exactly what he wanted to do. He's made these incredible computer games, and he was the right man for the job. The action is incredible. The characters are really interesting and multifaceted. And honestly, you want to see this with everyone around you, because you're going to watch it once and then you're going to go, I want to go watch it again. Now you know the twist. You want to go back and see where those little nest eggs, those little Easter eggs are. Yeah.
what really has defined Vin Diesel throughout his career is that when he had the shot to really make a difference, when he started what he would be his legacy as an actor, he really cared about breaking the mold in the sense of like being inclusive, and he really represented a diversity and at the time. And so Vin has done such a good job with expanding universes, and the fact that he has dived into Bloodshot after being part of many successful films and he's part of the Marvel world, he's part of the Fast and Furious world, and all these things was just strong in the sense of allowing people to expand in that actors to come in and do more and allow them to have more layered roles. And I think that everyone involved within itself, like the studio behind it, the director, taking risks on these movies is really important. And he, I think, was great for it as well because it allowed him to get to a different level that he hadn't gotten before. And I think people will fall in love with him even more so. And that just goes to show that no matter what stage of your career you are, you can still reinvent yourself and do different stuff and show what you're capable of. And we're all very grateful because we just created a whole new world.
FuturePreviews.com. Whoa! Go behind the scenes of movies. Subscribe to FutureFlix YouTube channel.